Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're going to be focusing on talking with some key business partners here today, and we are going to be on for 30 minutes. So I would like to welcome our guest and to get started with some great conversations. Okay, so let us have a chance to introduce ourselves. Ashley?
Sure. Hi. Thank you guys for having me today. I'm Ashley Shick. I'm the Director of Communications and Public Affairs for Bashas family of stores. And so we are a partner here in celebration of our 9 Bashas Dene markets we have on the Navajo Nation.
Thank you. And we have our second guest today, and that is Russ.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to do this. It's been a pleasure. My name is Russ Benoit. I'm Vice President of Sales for a procurement and distribution company called Sovereign Partners. Sovereign Partners is owned and operated by the William Cross family, who are members of the Little River Band of Ottawa Indians in Manistee, Michigan. And for more than 25 years, we've helped Native American businesses and organizations and others throughout Indian country purchase quality, affordable brand name goods and services through an extensive network of suppliers.
Well, thank you, Russ, and thank you, Ashley. My name is Wendy Atsidi, and I'm the Public Health Education Program Manager here at Nido, and welcome everyone. So, as we know, we are celebrating a second anniversary, and if you have been following our previous panels for the last 2 hours, you probably have heard the names of such businesses, Sovereign Partners and Bashas. And it took a whole community to work together to get where we're at in ways of sharing just reflections and areas that we learned together, because no one has went through a pandemic in this way. And I think we have a unique perspective, one being on tribal lands going through a pandemic. So I want to share with some questions to begin with, and I would like to hear your thoughts about it. And so I want to discuss our mission, or see our values and our vision. So Nido, we hope to have our Navajo and Hopi communities to be pandemic proof and resilient to climate change. And we have the following values of self-reliance, interrelatedness, teamwork, cooperation, individual strength and fortitude, and just holding the purest form of love. So hearing these organizational visions and values, which ones or all do you share with us? And let's go with Ashley.
Sure. Well, there's really all of them in one way or another we feel connected to as an organization, and just as an individual that is company that has been serving the communities of the Navajo Nation for 40 years. We're celebrating 40 years this year. But I think the biggest one, particularly over the last 2 years and the last year, is teamwork and cooperation, and mission focused. So we've all been experiencing things that are new to all of us, but it really has taken everyone working together towards a common goal. And for us, that goal is to ensure that we're feeding families across the Navajo Nation. So it's taken teamwork from our corporation side down in Chandler, Arizona, our distribution center side, all of our members and employees up on our in our stores up there, and really the entire community, to make sure that everybody's been taken care of, and being mindful and supportive of each other over the last year, specifically in 2 years. So that's what I think was closest to us. What about you, Russ?
Well, yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. It has been quite the couple of years, and to be part of a pandemic relief program during something that's been at this extreme really presses on your kind of brings your values to the forefront. And you do have a lot of things that we value, and we do have several values that I will list ours after I I show you how that we're also kind of similar to what's going on in with your value spectrum. So, we do, as far as being self-reliant, we rely on each person in our team to be self-reliant and just get their job done. As far as teamwork and cooperation and mission focused, we're just an extension of your team, and you've made us feel that way. And I hope we've done the same for you. Just being transparent, sitting on meetings together, watching it go from beginning to end, and just sharing those same beliefs to work together as a team to support Indian country. And then I think one of the biggest ones is strength and fortitude. It's taken everything that we've had to recreate ourselves, change the way, the way we do business as far as what we do. We went from, a couple of years before the pandemic as a printing company to, native owned printing company to tapping into our supply chain to be able to offer everything that we possibly can in Indian country. So it's been quite the journey, but some things I like to add. I think that honesty is a big one. Honesty is to tell the truth. And this often gets forgotten in business. Build strong relationships, and truth builds trust. So I think that's been a big part of what we've done for each other, and you had to during this time.
I think that's a great note, Russ, that honesty, and that brings transparency to my mind, that word, right? And for us, it was really being open and transparent about some of the challenges we were having as a regional grocer, but also making sure that we're working collectively with partners to ensure that we're identifying what some of the challenges are that we need to overcome, and how can we collectively do better and be better through honest and transparent conversation, communication, all of those things, all hours of the day, right? Well, is there a weekend involved? Who knows?
Oh yeah. And the biggest part of the conversation is like, hey, let me give you a glimpse into the supply chain world. We have 30 years of experience in this, and we've never seen this. Let me tell you what's happening here, and why things might not get to you in this time period, or why we have to break it up, or what we're shipping. And that conversation, the team with Navajo and Hopi COVID Relief Fund was so open and trusting, and be able to have that conversation. Because if you don't, then it's hey, finger pointing, and it's why didn't it get here, and what are you doing? But once I brought my wisdom and our wisdom from our company to the table of what we've learned over 30 years and what we're seeing on the front lines, that's when things started to happen. And that's when I think this organization turned the corner as far as working with us. We saw that turn the corner working with us and really, really be successful.
Yeah, thank you both. I really love the responses you shared. And one big thing that comes out is that you have years of experience in both businesses. And congratulations, Ashley, for celebrating your 40th anniversary with Bashas.
Thank you.
And I appreciate just everything that you have both been giving in the time of need, and opening all the channels to make us be able to know that we have such great resources. And as you shared in some of your values of honesty and transparency, all these really came right up front, because, going through these challenges together and doing it in such a way, in such a fast moment, it really came out. So thank you again. Let me go to your next question here. So I was hearing about challenges. So what challenges did your business face in operations? If you can look back at year 1 and year 2 and just share some pieces about that.
I feel like some of them on like the logistics delivery sort of side, I think we're going to have similar experiences probably as two entities that do space kind of in the world of supply chain, which really for us, we've spent a lot of time around just educating to your point, Russ, like educating people on here's really what the system looks like. Here's the reality of where we are, that kind of thing. One of the things I think outside of what everybody has talks about, and shortages of food or things missing on the shelves, those types of things, for us, moving through that kind of initial wave of panic purchasing, and once we got through all of that, moving into this longer term supply chain challenge, and looking at, okay, how are things really going to be 6 months, 9 months down the line, and trying to make sure that we're adjusting what we're doing at store level, and looking far enough ahead to ensure that we've got what we need for families. But one of the biggest things I think for us moving through that first year and into year two has really been looking at like our employee fatigue, and just rundown, right? Everybody's been going, like you mentioned, Wendy, at such a fast pace for months and months and months. And how can we support those store team members that are there day in, day out, 7 days a week, trying to make sure that we've got the support boots on the ground that they need as well. So for us, that was one of our biggest challenges in identifying, okay, here's where we really need to grow and understand how can we support them at a different level. Outside of all of the transportation issues and shortage of truck drivers, which things that we're still experiencing now, we're still battling all those different things. But for us, there was kind of a shift in focus from year one into year two, where we've gone through some of those big things, and okay, now we've got folks that just really need a break, really need some time with their families, need some time to be able to re-energize, and kind of get back to where they were emotionally, physically, mentally, kind of pre-pandemic.
Thank you for bringing that up. Definitely fatigue is such a critical part in making your team healthy. And I'm glad you were able to help share that and probably move in ways that would continue your team to be as strong as you can have them. So thanks for that. Russ, what's your response to looking at challenges for year one and year two?
Well, like Ashley mentioned too, and both of you mentioned that year one and year two were two different animals, two different things that were going on in the supply chain, which is probably our biggest, most notable challenge. But being there pretty much from the beginning, to have a year one and year two with a client from something that is at its genesis, like a pandemic, and the work that you do, and to be that key partner was so valuable. So that year two was actually, there were a lot of the similar challenges, but I think we handled them a lot better. Just there was a learning curve, obviously, is what I'm getting at. But most notably, there was a lot of items caught up. We were a big part in PPE with your organization. So we supplied many other things in the second year beyond PPE, but personal protection equipment, masks, things like that. But a lot of those items kind of caught up. The supply chain caught up in year two. So then the next year it was other items because it shifted to testing kits and different items. So, I think that's the availability was the biggest obstacle. We had to actually hire a medical expert to review all the products that we were purchasing at the beginning, just because there was so much fraud and counterfeiting of products. And, we want to make sure if we're working directly with our customers, no matter if you are in or out of Indian country, we want to make sure that we're providing you what you're looking for. And this was, like I said, a lot of rampant fraud. That was a big challenge. And then just probably cash flow from a distributor standpoint. We're buying from people that we've known for 30 years, but we might not have bought from them in 15 years. And so there was a lot of things happening in that. But what we tried to do was buffer that from your organization and allow flexibility, because you can't just press on one another you've got to work together. And so we helped leverage that. So, but definitely been some fatigue. We feel like we're rested somewhat now that there's a lull, but I think we're ready to take on whatever comes next. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, I know. It's quite something when you reflect back and you think of year one, year two. And so it's so much. But when you talk about some challenges, can we look at obstacles that you feel that was unique to operating here on the Navajo Nation or tribal lands?
Yeah, for us specifically, I mean, we serve 4 different tribal communities across the state. And really one of the biggest challenges was kind of tracking, keeping track of what all the different communities were doing and making sure that going back to honesty and transparency, that we were following at our stores, just specifically in our stores, that we were following the proper guidelines, all the rules and mandates, and that we were reaching out and being supportive to organizations and members of the community, such as the organization, right? So it wasn't for us just about, okay, how operating physically on the Navajo Nation, making sure that we've got clear understanding and visibility to tribal leaders, to health services, to the local, police departments, especially in the early days, and while we're going through, challenges there, and it really was quite a challenge to ensure that we're being open and honest, following everything that we need to do, taking care of our people, but then finding ways to support what everyone was doing outside of just selling groceries, right? Making sure that we've got good, solid partners. And Navajo and Hopi COVID Families 19 Relief Fund was the growth and the trajectory. I think, Russ, you mentioned it, where it's sort of, at the very beginning, things were like, okay, we you guys identified this problem, we've got to fill a need. And moving into year 2, I think there was just very seamless, regular cadence that felt smoother. It felt, easier for everyone. I know all of our stores, right, had local contacts, which was really helpful. We sort of built those local relationships up even farther. But really, it's just some of those obstacles on our end, ensuring that we're talking to the right people, making sure that we're doing everything that we're supposed to be doing as a non-Navajo business on tribal communities. So that was, some of our biggest obstacles. I mean, it was really wonderful to have a partner like this organization that has really stepped in, and to create some additional community support.
Thank you. Russ, do you have anything to add?
Working with your team, there's such an array of talent on your team and experience that there weren't really a myriad of obstacles. I think the biggest thing was obviously a learning curve between all of us, but specifically for Navajo Nation, it was just shipping to remote areas. Working with, we had, UPS and FedEx, and we're used to it. We work with tribes around the country, and we work with other COVID relief organizations. And we have worked with other tribes for years, but I don't think when this pandemic pushed through, UPS, FedEx, some of the major trucking logistical companies just didn't understand and weren't prepared. So what we try to do is bridge that gap, educate them, find ways within our system to make sure that things could get to where they need to get to. There were many calls, hey, I'm on this road and I'm like, and I can't find, and they're right around the corner. And I'm like, you guys will find it. They call me or call our team, we make it work. But that was probably the only thing. Internally, everything got there, everything got moved in. Your team was able to store it. There were a few things down the road that we helped with, but shipping, honestly, these companies, I hope they learned something from this process, especially working with us, because it's just a shame of how do I put it? Like they would hire separate companies just to drive in Indian country that were familiar with it.
Yeah.
And to have that lack of familiarity was just, I don't know, it was just frustrating, I guess to
Yeah.
say, just to know that in 2021, that big companies like that don't have the wherewithal to understand, and have shipped there for years and years and years. So that was probably the biggest thing. As you can tell, it was a thorn in my side, but everything else, man, it was great working with everybody in Navajo Nation.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you for addressing that. That's so important. Again, things we don't think about that really became very large as an obstacle in trying to find different ways of maneuvering around it. And I think that's where your skills as a business was able to help leverage and find such ways of, like you said, people who were familiar, but it was quite a challenge. Ashley, did you want to add into that?
Well, I was, it's interesting because I think there was a spotlight kind of particularly early on put on the Navajo Nation for a multitude of reasons. And I think all things considered, it has shed a lot of light into some of the obstacles that the nation has as a whole, and some of the challenges and issues that are being addressed ongoing. And it's interesting to us as we've been there for so long, right? And so Russ, to hear, it's such a good call out, the large shipping companies who you just expect that there's going to be an address and that's where you go and that's easy peasy, and that's not really how that works. And for us, our drivers have been driving those roads for years and years. So for us, that was less of an obstacle because they've been doing that for so many years. But I think that it's shown a real light and understanding that there really is room to grow in understanding and support and just knowledge around all of those different pieces.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, easy peasy. I like that word. So I want to wrap up here. We're about the end of our time. So thank you again very much. But just bringing this question up. So is there anything you would like to share with our viewers regarding your experience or with COVID generally?
Oh, so many feelings. No, I really will say from on behalf of the organization, as I mentioned earlier, celebrating 40 years serving the families of the Navajo Nation has really just been a true joy and honor. And on the personal side, I've been with the company 6 years, and it has been truthfully my favorite portion of my role to be able to learn and be welcomed into the communities that we serve, and really create these ongoing relationships and community partnerships. So thank you for thinking of us in that way and allowing us to support the just unbelievably incredible work that you guys have done over the last 2 years. I just continue to say it over you. It's so impressive, everything that you all have done. So thank you for allowing us to be part of that. And congratulations, 2 years, yay.
Most definitely. Russ, do you want to have any closing words here?
How do I sum up 2 years of just, it's been, I don't know, I guess the way I can describe it, it's been a remarkable experience and a pleasure to be brought in as a key business partner with your organization. You've made us feel, and I hope we've done the same, but you've literally made us feel like we're part of your organization. Just to be there from its infancy to watch where you are now, and to look back and to see the people you've helped has been awe-inspiring, and I mean that from my heart. It's not something you get to do every day, and I've been doing this for 30 years. And when you just think you got it down and everything's on autopilot and I know everything there is to know, and to have your world flipped upside down, but something like COVID has been just it's humbling. It's humbling. But to do it with others that are helping others, that carried me through so many long days, long nights, long weekends. Yeah, And so just want to thank you for recognizing our talents and what we can do, and for bringing us aboard, and looking forward to a long future with you guys.
Well, thank you again. And I just want to say it is an honor that you're able to help so much in the ways that we were able to provide for the community. As you said, there was just a multiple, many parts that all came together and we went through it together. And definitely when you share your heart, I think that's where it's all at. So I want to conclude our 30-minute session here. And again, thank you to Russ and Ashley and everyone. Continue to enjoy the rest of our day in celebrating our 2nd anniversary with the Nido. Yeah.
Ashley, ready? 1, 2, 3. Happy
Second anniversary.
Second
Oh,
Woohoo!
Yeah.
You guys have been great. This has been
Thank
fun.
you.
Thank you.
thank you.